From the New York Post, Progressive Representative Pramila Jayapal laughs at news coverage of migrant who assaulted a New York City 13-year-old girl. So that's absolutely hilarious. I mean, what a real knee slapper. But you know what's not funny is if you were to make a joke or say something that she doesn't fully agree with as far as the transformer agenda is concerned. And she has sacrificed her own offspring, or at least one of her children, to that agenda. I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl, they, them, z, zim, zer, but she will quite literally break down in tears if you don't immediately capitulate to that agenda. But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot, and it would cost you absolutely nothing. But if you wanted to help me even more and spend some money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description.
Like to see a system that actually works and that can keep them safe and secure. And all of us want that. And
I mean, even the, okay, it's hard for me to see. I can't look at this from a neutral angle, but even the body language of these people is incredibly condescending.
You know, I've been working on this issue for 20 years since before I came to Congress, in the streets as an activist.
Let me.
And of course, she is talking to Joyless, former Trump wig wearing Orwell Reid, and she has on several occasions also laughed at people who are taking things a little bit more seriously than she is. And she got rid of the Trump wig, and she's touting this bald head. It's still blonde, so that's weird. And she's also wearing a weird spray paint jacket. That's not the point of this video, but there is another clip of Pramila Jayapal I have pulled up, and another clip of only a couple months ago when Joyless, Orwell, Trump wig wearing Reid was laughing about the people in Virginia who are concerned about the border.
Let me show you this is one of the reasons that people have these sort of thinking. Here's the three cable networks reporting of this. Our banner said, soon Biden announces legal protections for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. CNN's banner said, Biden announces new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner, migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old New York City.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it is totally part of the problem that you guys are completely ignoring it. And well, actually not completely ignoring it. You are talking about it and lambasting the people who can see exactly what you're doing. So while she is laughing at the people who are paying attention to the absolutely disgraceful border, which of course Bo Biden is pretending he's going to clean up now, but it's far too late. But that's funny, not to really be taken too seriously. But here she is, quite literally, or almost crying because somebody in this weirdo Senate hearing is not fully on board with this radical gender agenda.
I am the proud mother of a trans daughter.
Oh, is that right? I mean, how is it possible that a lot of you guys are quite literally sacrificing your children? We see it all the time in Hollywood. We see it with Dwayne Wade, who knows quite clearly there's a difference between a man and a woman. And then little Chuckle Schumer and his viral raw meat patty picture. Everybody was talking about the cheese. He put the cheese on a raw burger, whatever. I'm no chef. I don't think that's how you do it. But more importantly, he wrote in the caption that my daughter and her wife just bought a house in New York City, and now we're grilling in the backyard. So you are now telling us, you're rubbing it in the faces of regular Americans that not only am I completely corrupt and my daughter is so well off in this collapsing economy that she just bought a house and she's married to a woman. So right all over the place, these people are pretending that it's perfectly natural that their kids just happen to be part of this agenda.
And every time these bills come up, I ask you to think about what it would...
You better take me seriously because I'm crying. They're going to cry about everything. And it's always going to be life and death. And if you don't do exactly what they say, they're going to make fun of you. But look, for the millionth time, I think we have hit a wall and we're going back the other way. Do we really believe? Is there anybody going to bat for this lady? I think there was also a story about how some of her staffers said she was completely, okay, maybe not completely evil, but like a weirdo tyrant, which is absolutely true. I mean, that's happening all over the place. But these people want to pretend like they're just doing the Lord's work and we are here to help the little people and the transformers and the gender benders and all that stuff, and I'm going to cry. But really, they're just completely evil. And she right? There's levels to this, as we know. There are the brainwashed moron sheep who are quite literally stupid. This woman could be stupid, but I think she's a little bit closer to the side of evil and knows exactly what she's doing. And of course, she brainwashed her own daughter or son or whatever into that agenda. And now she's crying about it.
Be like if your daughter was the one that you were talking about. What would it be like if you were telling your daughter that she does not have the right to be who she is? Every one of you has children. I ask you to please stop targeting our trans community that is already vulnerable.
Yeah, stop targeting the trans community or I'm going to cry. Meanwhile, while illegals are running roughshod over Americans and quite literally eliminating them and committing heinous crimes, I'm going to laugh about that. And here, once again, we have Joyless, Orwell, Trump wig wearing Reid mocking the people of Virginia with Circleback Psaki. Let's not forget. MSNBC Psaki Maddow laugh and mock Virginia voters for caring about border crisis. So they're never going to try to fix the problem that we all see happening in front of our eyes. They're never going to try and fix it. They're never going to stop it. They're not even going to acknowledge it. They're just going to literally call you stupid and laugh at you for even acknowledging it exists.
Increasingly, from the Tea Party on, they're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job.
Is that what it is? It's just it totally is an invasion of brown people over the border. But that aside, are the stories of absolute mayhem and crimes and them being completely entitled and ungrateful with the stuff that they've been given, that those are just hollow complaints. Meanwhile, you should be very upset and on the verge of tears if somebody doesn't immediately capitulate and sacrifice their child to the radical gender agenda.
Job they want, a black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges, get rid of DEI. That is what they're voting on. They're just voting specifically on racial animus. At this stage, it isn't about...
That's just not true. You just literally made that up. She can go on television and make things completely up out of whole cloth and pretend that she knows, she understands the reasoning. And bro, look, I'm giving her too much credit because she absolutely, I don't know. I think she knows what's happening, right? She knows what the job is, and she is pretending that she understands the thoughts of conservatives. I guess you don't have to be conservative to take issue with some of the crimes that these illegals are committing. But my point is, she is pretending that it's all about race, even though she quite clearly knows that it's not. And she is one of the biggest henchmen for the Democrat. Her and Rachel Maddow and some of these CNN talking heads, and of course also ABC, who for whatever reason kind of flies under the radar. And I guess they're still pretending that they're shooting it straight. Now, credit where it's due, MSNBC and CNN, we've known for years now that they are actually, they are henchmen for the Democratic Party. But for whatever reason, ABC and NBC pretend that they're still shooting it straight down the middle. And that's a completely different story.
About economics. Which is why Trump killed the immigration bill.
Correct.
That's why. And because otherwise he can't run.
Yeah, let this redhead communist awful.
The awfuls. The affluent white female liberals in the Democrat Party, and that they're so divisive. The ones focused on making sure that your children have hormones because they've decided at the age of 10 that, well, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl, or vice versa, something to that effect.
Circleback Psaki tell you why Trump ended the immigration policy, and we love brown people so much.
Against the other and brown people and people who don't look like him, like his supporters, his base of supporters coming across the border.
Yeah, his base of supporters, right? Like you guys know just as well as anybody else that the Democratic Party is hemorrhaging black voters, but you just are continuing to try to force a square peg into a round hole.
and scaring people and killing people or whatever he's threatening out there. I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the number one issue. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very contested area.
Build the wall. Like, what? I mean, when I was in New Hampshire, people were talking about the northern border as a threat. Because Trump has indoctrinated people with this fear of people who do not look like them.
Yeah, Trump has indoctrinated people.
Being a threat to them.
But as you know,
pause. Trump has indoctrinated these people. And it's just, I mean, it's really not happening, as they are quite literally trying as hard as they possibly can to not only indoctrinate people, but tell you not to believe your lying eyes, right? Which, of course, as we know by now, is the final most essential ask of the regime. And here, just really quickly, this is just recent from the crazy hard leftist communist media. The motivated ignorance of Trump supporters. When are Trump supporters complicit in his actions? Well, what are the actions? What are you talking about? All of the quote unquote crimes that the Democratic Party has foisted on Donald Trump? When are they complicit? Well, they're never complicit. Trump himself isn't even complicit. Are you going to blame Amber Rose? Are you going to blame the rappers who got Trump tattooed on them? Like, what are you guys talking about? And rather than address these issues, admit there's a problem, and try to fix it, which could be a tiny bit more respectable than what you're doing now, you're just going to continue to insult these people. So you laugh at crimes, you cry about people who aren't on board with the radical gender agenda, and then you laugh at people in Virginia who can see that there's something wrong with the border. But we're not going to acknowledge it. Well, I mean, who are you winning over with this, right? You're quite literally doubling, tripling, quadrupling down and telling people that they're stupid for believing their lying eyes. And here's the last one. This went hugely viral, I believe, a week or so ago, from New York Magazine. Are Republican women okay? I mean, could you imagine? There are some Republican women out there who haven't blindly bought into what we're selling, and they do the same thing with the black people, right? Well, as black people are leaving the Democratic Party in droves, they're just wondering, well, how come these people that don't even know what a computer is are not blindly obeying what we're telling them to do?